All right, let's dive right in. We're going to tackle a huge question today. What's the real reason behind humanity's most brutal, most intense conflicts?
So, when you think about war, what comes to mind? Probably tanks, right? Fighter jets, soldiers on the ground. But what if I told you that the most powerful force on any battlefield isn't a weapon at all? Any guesses?
It's an idea, a belief, something you can't even hold in your hand. But this intangible thing, it can inspire people to make the ultimate sacrifice, it can justify unimaginable brutality, and it can keep a war going long after any logical reason has disappeared. And that's exactly what we're digging into today, the wars of belief.
Okay, so to really get this, we've got to look past the usual reasons we're given for why wars start. We're on the hunt for something much deeper, something way more powerful.
You know, the classic story we all learn about war is pretty straightforward, right? It's a fight over something you can touch and see, a struggle for physical stuff. And look, don't get me wrong, that's absolutely true sometimes. Wars are fought over land, resources like oil, wealth, political control. That's all real. But that doesn't tell the whole story. It doesn't explain the sheer, brutal ferocity of some of history's worst conflicts. Why would people fight to the very last person for a city that's already just a pile of rubble? It's because the biggest, most world-changing conflicts aren't just about what you have. They're about who you are and what you believe. They're fought for identity, for what you see as the absolute truth, for a divine mission, or for a very specific vision of how the world should be.
So, let's get on the same page. What do we actually mean when we say belief? For what we're talking about today, we're going to focus on two huge categories that have shaped, well, pretty much all of human history: religion and secular ideology. Let's break those down.
First up, religion. You know, it's a system of faith that helps people understand their place in the universe. It often comes from a sacred source, gives people a moral code to live by, and crucially, it glues a community together with a powerful shared purpose. A perfect example? The Crusades. You had a shared faith that literally moved armies across entire continents. And then on the other side, you've got secular ideologies. Think things like communism, fascism, even intense nationalism. These are belief systems that are centered on human ideas, not divine ones. They offer a kind of blueprint for how society should be run, and they provide a framework that can guide millions. The Cold War is the textbook example here, a planet-wide struggle between two competing ideas, communism and capitalism. So here's the kicker. Even though one comes from a sacred place and the other from a secular, human one, they do almost the exact same job when it comes to conflict. They both give you a lens to see the world through, they both rally a community around a single purpose, and they're both incredibly good at drawing a sharp line in the sand between us and them. Which brings us to the real heart of the matter. How does something as abstract as a belief turn into a weapon? A weapon of war, no less. Well, let's walk through how it happens, step by step. It's basically a three-step process. First, you forge unity. Second, you define the enemy. And third, you chase total, absolute victory. Let's dig into each one. Okay, step one, forging unity. A shared idea can create a bond that's way stronger than where you were born or what language you speak. It creates this powerful collective identity, a sense of us that just blows past normal borders. Suddenly, you're not just a person from some town, you're a defender of the faith. You're a soldier of the revolution. See the difference? All right, so once you've got that strong sense of us, the next move is to define them. And in these kinds of wars, your enemy isn't just someone who wants the same piece of land. No. They get framed as a moral threat. They're heretics, they're infidels, they're enemies of the people. Their very existence is painted as a danger to your way of life. And when you frame it like that, suddenly extreme actions don't just seem okay, they seem absolutely necessary. And that's what leads to the final step, the chase for total victory. Think about it. You can bargain over a border. You can split resources. But how on earth do you compromise with an idea that you believe is pure evil? You can't. So the goal isn't just to beat their army anymore. The goal becomes wiping their entire belief system off the map. So, once those three steps are locked in, the whole game changes. The conflict isn't a normal war anymore. It's not being fought over borders made of soil and stone. It's being fought over the borders of the mind. The real prize isn't land, it's belief itself. The end game is to control the way people think, the way they see the entire world.
So what happens after? What's the legacy of a war like this? Well, spoiler alert, it doesn't just end when the shooting stops. Not even close. The echoes can last for hundreds of years.
Sure, you can sign a piece of paper that draws a new line on a map, but that paper can't erase the deep, bitter divides that a war of belief carves into a society. The hatred, the propaganda, that us versus them thinking, all of that can stick around for generations, like a poison, infecting politics and culture long, long after the last soldier goes home.
Now, it's easy to think, okay, that's all just ancient history. But trust me, understanding how this works is more important right now than ever before. So why does this matter to you today?
Well, for one, it gives us a totally new lens for looking at the world. It helps us understand why so many modern conflicts seem so impossible to solve. It's because they're often fueled by these clashing ideas. It also shows us exactly why propaganda and information warfare are so powerful. They're not sideshows. They're the main event. They are literally battles for your mind. And maybe most importantly, it forces us to look past the easy headlines and ask the deeper question. What's the belief system that's really driving this?
And that kind of brings us to our final thought for today. If the most important wars are really fought over ideas, then what are the invisible battles being fought for our beliefs, right here, right now? That's something to chew on. Thanks for tuning in.